to a new world of gods and monsters.
It's alive!
Here's Johnny.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Oh, I'm telling you, brother, it's a frightful sight to see what goes on Halloween night.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Why We Love Horror. It's a special week this week. Mike was also called away this week, so we got Melissa doing her venture capitalism in the YouTube world, building up Film Coven. Mike was called away to emergency. No matter, I have the first couple of horror. Abby and Aaron here today. Guys, how you doing?
Good.
We're good. We're taking out one host each week. So next week, Abby and I will be hosting Why We Love
We'll be
Horror.
alone.
Yeah, we'll be alone to host it.
Who knows? Yeah, the bus from Final Destination is coming for me. I'm just gonna step in the street and get plastered. Not a problem. But I wore the T-shirt today to show that I still support this channel.
That's right.
Anyway, this show on the video, sorry, I should say. We're not our own channel yet.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, but we are here this week to talk about a very special movie, A Haunting in Venice. Normally I give the plot synopsis, but do either of you guys want to do it? I'm happy to kick it over to you, but I have one prepared if you guys aren't ready.
I can give mine, then you can give the official. So
okay, sounds good.
This is about the continuation of Hercule Poirot, or however you say it, Hercules Poirot, is now in Venice. He's been pretty sick of solving murders. He's a little jaded, you could say, and gets a special, type of case of a higher order, you could say. And then a ensemble of varying recognizability shows up, and a murder happens, and there's a mystery to solve.
And it's exactly right. This is I would say that exactly what you said. It's a Hercule Poirot mystery. You say
Poirot.
Kenneth Branagh shows up with the greatest mustache ever. And it's a murder mystery with horror elements. It is I guess this is a later stage Agatha Christie adaptation because Poirot is retired. He's trying to retire, but just when he gets out, they bring him back in. Tina Fey comes and brings him back in, and it's it's a house is the palazzo, is it haunted or is it not haunted? And Poirot's going to get to the bottom of it in his own special way. So. Basically, that's it. I know you guys saw it a few days before I did. What were you guys' initial thoughts on the movie?
Go ahead, Abby.
I thought it was good. I only saw one of the previous movies. I saw the boat one, The Death on the Nile, which I didn't think was that terrible. I guess I'm alone in that. But I thought this one was very good. I do like the haunting aspect of all of it. I think that makes it really interesting. I like the characters. I feel like in all of these movies, there's always a really good cast, and Kenneth Branagh is really good as whatever his name is. I can't say it either. But yeah, no, I thought it was really good. Definitely a much better movie than last week's movie.
Fair enough. Aaron, what'd you think?
I had gone into this one and, I saw a trailer. As we know, my trailer recall isn't great. But if I did see a trailer, this didn't particularly interest me until I was actually going to be on the show. I saw Murder on the Orient Express. It was fine. I think I saw Death on the Nile during during the COVID times. And so it was in the spree of 400 movies I saw that year. So I don't really remember anything other than forgetting it. But, I was somewhat interested just because there's a horror aspect to it. And then it definitely grew on me as the movie went. I think the horror aspect was one of the biggest services to the movie because that on paper, hearing the mystery of is it haunted or not with this skeptic who's very about logic, I would think that would be kind of cheesy. But it actually got surprisingly deep and dealt with a lot of deep depth of grief and emotional loss and things like that, which I actually liked and enjoyed without being too hit over the head with it. And I thought that it was really, some people get annoyed by Dutch angles and weird little camera tricks. I love that stuff. I'm just mad there wasn't a full-on Ari Aster inversion, but there was an inversion
They
shot.
get most of the way to an inversion.
It wasn't full-on Ari Aster, which I didn't know was allowed in a 2020 horror movie to not fully commit to that, but they didn't. And there's a really great scene later on in the movie with a character getting dragged into the water, which you've seen that like image before, but there was something about in this that it really did feel actually haunting and like kind of gave me the creeps, which I fully was not expecting to be scared during this. So I was expecting to come into this and be like, yeah, it's horror, but it's not real horror. But I think there was actually some real good horror in this. And I really liked that I mentioned the ensemble being semi-recognizable. I see that there's names I recognize, but besides Tina Fey and Michelle Yeoh, like it was like kind of like seeing, not quite the A-list, which I think was better and helped the movie because it wasn't just like a Family Guy cutscene where you're like, oh, that guy, that guy. And like it's like
for me, there were a few recognizable faces. Obviously, Tina Fey, Michelle Yeoh. Then you got Kelly Riley, Jenny from Eden Lake was in this.
Yes.
Carrying the burden, and then also Kyle Allen, who plays the boyfriend, is not that everybody's gonna get this in XX in the Her Only Given Son. He's the son in XX. That's him. He just cut his hair, and now he's all grown up and having broken engagements.
I thought he was just Brad Pitt's stunt double. He looks like Brad Pitt so hard, and he acts like Brad Pitt from Burn After Reading, which was like the best dumb himbo of all time. Like he was my favorite character, actually. I really
a lot of red herrings. Yeah, they definitely like the whole red herring. I mean, obviously it's more mystery than horror. Like it's mystery with horror elements, but I'm gonna give it a full horror thing because they go whole hog with all the whole haunting stuff. So that's great. But it's definitely got the mystery pacing. It's got the twist upon twist upon twist. It's a red herring. Who done it? There's a few minor things maybe I didn't like about it, but like all in all, what do you guys think of the mystery plot?
Go ahead.
The mystery, I mean, I thought it was decent. I mean, I kind of could, it's not super obvious, but I could kind of see where it was going from the beginning kind of thing. Like there were the really obvious characters, like, for example, the boyfriend or fiance or whoever he was, like, he's really obvious. So I was kind of like, okay, it's not going to be him. So I mean, it's not the most obvious movie in the world, but I could kind of see where it was going. But the mystery that I enjoyed the most was not necessarily just the murder, but the whole conflict of like, he comes in a skeptic and it's like, okay, like, is it actually a haunted house or is it actually somebody doing these murders? Like, what is actually going on here? Like, that's what I thought was really interesting to see him dealing with that and dealing with his own inner feelings of like, oh, like none of this came in feeling like none of this is real. But then seeing things and thinking, okay, like getting tested almost like maybe there is something more supernatural going on here. That's the mystery that I really liked more in the movie rather than just thinking like, oh, the obvious of like who actually did the murder. That's what I liked most about it.
Yeah, and I am a journey, not destination viewer. So like even in murder mysteries, I'm not trying to solve the mystery for the most part. For one, I don't usually get it. I get fooled by like all of the red herrings. It's kind of insane. I just rewatched Matchstick Men and I still got fooled by things I got fooled the first time. Like it's kind of insane. Like so like I'm more about how it is as we're approaching it because like it almost was like the least concern for me. So I do agree, like the thematic kind of mystery with the death and with the haunting and with the kind of the culture in Venice at the time was more interesting to me and how it affected and just like the rational versus the irrational debate that Mr. Hercules has throughout the movie. So, like, and I also love that there was not CGI. I just want to mention like a ton of CGI. Like it actually looked very little. Yeah, and that was like nice not to just see like a cleaned up like video game looking mansion. Like I really appreciate that. So
I'm going to throw up the semi spoilers because I'll talk a little bit about Sorry, Abby, didn't mean to hit you in the face with that.
What?
But one of the things about murder mysteries, it's difficult to. I would imagine as a director, Kenneth Branagh deserves some kudos here, because I think directing a mystery is difficult because you have to, unless you're going to totally leave the viewer in the dark, you have to put the clues into the movie. And I do think a lot of the only failing really in my mind of A Haunting in Venice is the fact that like a lot of the clues they give you are throwaway lines that make no sense in the context of the theme. Like for example, Kelly Riley's character, I forget her name is, the opera singer, mentions that the music room is soundproof. Why the fuck would you say that? Why would you even bother saying that? Or like the interlude with the garden, there's all kinds of things where like they introduce things that have nothing to do with it. So me, being a genius, I'm like, well, that obviously is a clue. So like I think it's very hard to do a good mystery where you're letting the audience participate, but sanding it down enough that it feels natural. Yeah. So I do think like I appreciate the mystery aspect, and I appreciate the difficulty it takes to direct a good mystery. So I'm going to say, all in all, I enjoyed the mystery aspect. I think the supernatural aspect was great. However, the big reveal at the end of why it's a supernatural aspect, clever, but kind of a cop-out, but clever. But obviously, you are working from the source material, so you're kind of handcuffed to what Agatha Christie wrote. So, not knocking Agatha Christie, we support women in the video store. But, definitely. But, yeah, so you can't really play around with it too much, because then the purists are going to come for you if you do that. But speaking to like, you can spoil stuff now. Speaking to some of the clues and some of the plot devices, what you guys think?
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of specifics from the movie.
I'll tell you one of my biggest problems was the whole, was it the doctor who was played by Jamie Dornan, who like stabs himself in the back the way he did, to like, I was like, how was I ever going to be able to be like, oh, he had to like it just felt like a way to fool everybody.
He was just a weird character to begin with. Like, first, I don't know, like, I guess they did an okay job. Like, he just kind of felt very silly. I guess.
And his kid was too mature.
Yes.
Yeah, the kid was like very, very well behaved, and I never was like, he was so weird that I almost wasn't weirded out by him, because I'm like, okay, we're supposed to, like, the ones who like the red herrings, I did pick up on a few of the red herrings a little too easily, to where it almost made me zone out of those characters in a way, and like look into who's not being as focused on, or who's being tried to be framed more in a normal sense. So
again, the doctor was just such an obvious character also. Like, he was a little bit just too weird and like too crazy in the movie, that's like, okay, he would be the obvious, like the crazy guy who comes back from war and is suffering from, I guess it was supposed to be PTSD that he's suffering from. That's a little bit too obvious. So I was kind of like, all right, it's not going to be him. Like, just cross him off the list kind of thing.
You have your shifty foreigners. Can't be them. Can't be the gypsies. That's racist.
Right, exactly. So we have like half the cast right away that you're kind of knocking off. And it's not Hercules.
Yeah. And then the other strange, the plot thing that hit strangely to me was like Tina Fey's character, like they're best friends, they're old chums. Then how quickly she just turns on him like a real housewife of Orange County. He's like, yo, fuck you, dude.
She's got a book to write. She's got a book to write.
Tina. That came out of left field, just how nasty she got. Like at the end, I was like, wow, it was a good sport, I guess, but like she didn't have to be so nasty to him.
Yeah, I agree.
I did appreciate Tina Fey in the movie, because I didn't think she was over the top or silly or anything like that, which I feel like that's what she usually does in most movies, like even if it's not a comedy that she's in. So I did appreciate her doing something different. I thought she was very, very good. And I mean, I did like her character. I thought it was a very interesting twist. Like, even though from the beginning, again, you can kind of tell there's going to be something weird with her. I was almost duped by her, and I was like, maybe it could be her who's the murderer, but there is a twist with her, but she's not in the end the murderer.
Yeah, I would say the only over-the-top character that actually fits being kind of over the top was probably Michelle Yeoh's character. Like just the theater of being a medium. The listening. I was like, all right, I'm into it. Like her whole performance, even like the when she gets possessed by the spirit or whatever. Really good. She wasn't in the movie long enough, spoiler alert. But it was I really like Michelle Yeoh for the short time we have her in the movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. She was definitely a good choice for the casting of that role, and she showed up for the 2 days she was on set.
Yeah, definitely wish there was more of her.
Yeah, I also when we get into like me fixing it later, I'll talk about. I will say like one small thing. There's the scene where Poirot finds the medium's outfit and he puts on the mask and the cloak and he's wandering around. Then he just has a, you know what? It's Halloween. Let me get in the spirit. I'm gonna like clumsily bob for apples in the weirdest, most awkward way, and then whoever attacks him is strong enough to hold him underwater. I doubt it, but they had to make it look like this person could drown Poirot.
Right.
What do you think of Kenneth Branagh, French Kiss and Apples? What do you guys think about that?
I hadn't thought about it too much since I left the movie, but now that you mention it, he really did French those apples well.
It is a very silly scene. Like when you find out who actually did it, like you're right, like that person could never drown him.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's probably like my biggest criticism is like the feats asked of the person who did it. Right. A lot. I'm sure Michelle Yeoh doesn't weigh like a ton, but to throw her off a balcony would be a lot
with such accuracy.
Yeah, with accuracy. Yeah,
it's like I would have
missed the hand of a statue.
Yeah, that is not an easy toss. Like I can't make like paper in my trash can.
That's Olympic level training. You have to be like a good shot putter. Not even
pinpoint precision, literally.
Not a hobby shot putter, professional shot putter to nail that shot.
I didn't think about that till just now.
Yeah.
How hard it was for her to get placed like that on the peg. But yeah,
I couldn't do it. I would have. She would have ricocheted off.
She would have just hit the floor. They would have been like, "Oh, wow, I guess she jumped." Like, we don't even know if this is a murder. She might have just killed herself because I would have like half thrown her and she would have started rotating, so she would have landed on her face and then like she jumped.
I'm not that I like totally shit in the movie. I really did enjoy this movie. No, I think one of the other positive things about the movie is in the beginning when they actually go to the party, and it starts as a party for children. They open up this giant palazzo in Venice, and I do like the setting, and I like the house. I like the storm, the fact that the water is rising. There's lots of dramatic things that add to the suspense. 100%. Like that's flawless. The mythology building they do in the beginning with the dude they hire and the wacky puppet show they do to scare the children. I thought that was really well done in the beginning. Like about how it was originally a house for children, like I don't know, it was like typhoid or something came through the house, and they didn't want it to spread through the Venice, so they locked the children in the basement. And it turns out that they really did do that. So that now the house is haunted by the spirit of these dead children. They hate doctors and nurses. Don't forget, they hate doctors and nurses. That comes up way too much in the movie. But they hate doctors and nurses. And they'll kill any doctor or nurse that comes in the house. But would you know that the two people that get killed are a doctor and a nurse? It's crazy that coincidence happens. And then that's that. But yeah, I did like that part. Like the mythology building in the beginning was actually very good. Any other positives you guys can think of?
Yeah, again, I thought the direction of Kenneth Branagh. I don't usually like Kenneth Branagh movies. Like honestly, they're just like they're fine, but like I did find like his direction very interesting in this. I think there's some really great shots. When we compare it to Nun 2, the darkness, you can actually see things in the dark in this movie, and the setting actually plays like an effective role throughout the movie as well. It's not just set dressing. So like the production design is like honestly one of my favorite things. Everybody's dressed to the nines. Like everybody looks great. Hercule Poirot's I said it right. Mustache never moves, so that mustache wax is just tremendous. And the fact he just doesn't even look weird with this mustache. He is that character. Like it, even though
I don't know, what do you call that? Is it like a double? It's like a duplex on both sides mustache.
Yeah, it's just like it's magnificent. That's what I call it. And I just
Row
yeah,
homes.
and again, Kyle Allen to me, I think is he's like a budding star. He's just waiting for that like role that's real because he's got the look, he's got the humor, like he can play I think a lot of different roles. And I looked at his filmography on Letterboxd, and there's not quite that movie yet where you're like,
he kind of reminds me of Josh Hartnett, like a young Josh Hartnett.
He really reminded me of Brad Pitt. Like I saw was a young Brad Pitt, which I wish someone would say that about me, but that's okay. Like I'm more of a Harry Potter.
You're a current Brad Pitt.
Thank you. I'll take any gestation of Brad. But yeah, I really did like the look of the movie and being able to see everything. And again, the shot towards the end of I'm blanking on which character was getting dragged into the water, but I just love any time that's in a movie like Get Out or other movies where we've kind of seen that.
When they fall down in the water, it was Kelly Riley's character that falls.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it's
just the slow sinking, and it was right. It was done incredibly well,
and it reminds me of the movie I'll be recommending in our haunted house section. It reminded me of a shot from that movie. So, yeah.
I will say like one other thing. Let me see if we have any comments here. I see people are watching. No one's commenting. That's fine. Like the setting was great, and again, going back to the movie we reviewed last week, The Nun 2, there were jump scares in A Haunting in Venice, but I didn't feel offended by the jump scare. Like these were done correctly. It wasn't like, oh shit, like you're sitting there for 5 minutes, like fuck, a jump scare is coming, just fucking do it, and then they finally do it. Like fuck you. Haunting in Venice, like I was not expecting jump scares. They were placed sporadically throughout the film. They were good. They were effective. I jumped. So good. That's how it should be done, everybody. If you're trying to make a movie, do it like this, not like The Nun 2.
I think we said, like, one of us said when we saw it in the theater, like, that's how you do a jump scare. Like, it was really good. I think it was the one where it's like, I forget if it was the daughter or whatever who died, like, shows up, like, in the mirror. I forget if it was a mirror or something. But that one was really, really good. I was also going to say that the jump scares were really good in this movie. And more horror movies should do jump scares like that.
Yeah, so getting into, like, hard spoilers now. Like, really, I do like the fact that, like, he's brought in to, like, debunk the medium, and he basically does that. Like, he pulls the dude out of the chimney, he shows all the stuff, and then later on he fully debunks the whole medium thing. But then supernatural stuff starts happening, and we find out it's because they drugged him with, like, acid. Psychedelic honey, which is also the reason why, the first murder that happened before the movie happened. And I did not know. I'm sure that's true, that you can do that. But I had not heard of that. But, like, Aaron, if you have a guy that can get us some, let's do it.
I mean, I can say that allegedly or, either way, trying to solve a mystery under the influence of any psychedelics is a feat that I am not capable of.
He did it, though. He's the greatest detective in the world.
Yeah, he truly is. Now all the hippies will believe him. It's like, oh man, he's a real, and it probably allowed him to get deeper into his soul to really look into all the grief aspects of it, and the introspection that Hercules, whatever his name is, I can't say it.
Hercule Poirot.
I'm never gonna get a question about him right in trivia, so add it to.
Just spell it right.
Yeah, I know how to spell it, so I just don't know how to say it. But it was just like it was really nice because I had, with this, there's so many ways this could have been done wrong, and I could have just been checked out. And I really did like early on when one of the characters who was up in the chimney and they show what he's using to have the typewriter type. It like dispels that right away, and it's so early on that I'm like, okay, this is letting me know we're going to get really deep into it because obviously it's not getting solved right here. So I actually really enjoyed how much that added to the mystery because they were like, yes, we, kind of acknowledging where the audience would be viewing this from as well, because basically the audience and Perot are in the same seat at the beginning and through the movie.
And since this is like a procedural mystery movie, obviously we always have that one scene where like the detective breaks it down, and I think that in this movie that was done extremely well. Obviously, and like they're locked in the house, so like the accused person. Spoiler alert: it's Kelly Riley's character, the mother, killed everybody. But like they're like, and she can't like she can't get out. So it's not like there's gonna be like a huge like knockdown, drag out fight at the end. But the whole way Perot breaks it all down, I think is done very well. Like your use of flashbacks, revisiting scenes. Did you see what you really saw?
Yeah.
I think that's really good. It's Knives Out level breakdown, I would say, in this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I like this more than Knives Out, just as a spoiler. I'm not a huge Knives Out guy.
Look out, Will. He's coming for you. Anyway. All right, before we get into
I have like nothing in common with movies. We like, I'll just be honest.
I'll take the spoilers down. Any other like facts or things you wanted to drop before we talk about our final before we get to the home stretch here?
I don't think so. This did make me want to go back and show her Murder on the Orient Express though, because and I would like to see more movies from the series, which is something I fully was not expecting to say going into this. I was expecting to be like, I'm good.
We can watch some of the old ones.
Well, yeah, I will watch the old ones. Obviously, I've seen the 70s version of Murder on the Orient Express, and I would say Kenneth Branagh is much better than Albert Finney. Even, which might be a hot take, I don't know, but
I don't think any of those guys are watching. You're okay.
Albert,
you're
watching.
Yeah. all those Albert stands out there in the community. Well, let's talk about let's talk about maybe the tiny things I would do different.
I can fix it.
Like I said, murder mysteries are hard to do. Kenneth Branagh probably did the absolute best he could. I do think the only thing I would do to fix it is you need to kind of sand down like the obvious placement of clues in the movie. You could present a clue, but don't call attention to it to the point that it disrupts the dialogue of the movie. And also, that kid was not real. That kid I understand the kid when sometimes when you have a father or a mother who's mentally ill, it forces you to grow up too fast. But that kid grew up way too fast. He was too mature. He should have been a little.
I don't want to get too personal here, but I grew up with a mentally ill parent and one parent, and it did not make me grow any faster. I was nothing like that kid.
You weren't reading Edgar Allan Poe.
I was the opposite of Jude Hill. I was like, I cannot relate, and I didn't have a parent murdered per se, but did die.
Yeah, and like I said, and the other thing I said, and Tina Fey's heel turn was a little too extreme. I think if she had just been like upset and exasperated that this dude got one up on her and like called him a dick or something, that's fine. But the way the just how catty she got was like over the top. It took me out of it. I was like, oh, I thought we were friends. And if those three things were just different, I probably would have gone up 5 stars for this movie. But those things took me out of it a little bit. Yeah. With that being said, Mike's not here. Mike! We need to know if this is the quintessential good fucking movie or not. We'll start with
it is.
Aaron, what did you give this movie?
Yeah, I really dug this one. I was, I really had a good time throughout. I was not bored. And again, maybe I should have been paying more attention to the mystery, but like the mystery was the least of my concerns in the movie. So I had a great time. Those like kind of issues you brought up would probably bother me more on a rewatch watching it now, especially the bobbing for apple thing. That did not cross my mind. Now it kind of does bother me a lot.
Yeah, that's easy to cut. Don't do that next time.
Yeah, like maybe she just like had some good pre-workout. I don't know, like some in the 1600s or whenever this took place. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. It really is one of these very, very strong movies for me. I didn't have a lot that really bothered me from it. I just had maybe some aspects holding it back from being like a certified classic banger for me. But like 4 out of 5, very strong, like for me, and twice as good as The Nun at least. So yeah, I agree with this rating.
I think this year for horror, 4 out of 5 is like top 10 movie.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if I'd give it a 4, but I think I'd give it more like a 3.5 out of 5. I do still think it was really good. I agree. It's not a boring movie at all. And I think it's really a good movie for pretty much anybody, even if you're not like super diehard into horror. I think it's a good like stepping stone type movie if you want to try and get into it. And I know these types of movies, like the Agatha Christie movies, are also like a lot of older people like them too. So you got the older people happy and then people who like horror happy. It really is just a really good, well-rounded movie with good performances. a fun mystery. I mean, I think it's pretty solid.
I would agree with all that. I probably would go that way too, but like I said, and everybody knows, people who know me, you put Kelly Riley in a movie, I got to grade it on a curve a little bit. So I'm definitely a 4 out of 5. It's a good murder mystery. It does everything it's supposed to do. It doesn't. You're engaged the whole time. The supernatural elements are great. All the technical stuff, set design, costume design, cinematography, score, all the X factors are on point. Just like some tiny little things that just could have been polished up. So if there is like a recut or a director's cut of it that fixes those issues, I would probably go even higher. And then there's just a few little scenes that are just like weird. But aside from that, it's definitely a 4 out of 5. Yeah. So usually we end every episode we're talking about, like, if you like ghost movies, if you like haunting movies, we're going to recommend at least one more movie for you. So I'll start with you guys. Whichever one of you guys wants to go first, giving us another movie for the people out there to watch if they want more of these types of movies.
Go ahead, Abby.
So my ghost / haunted house movie I will recommend. It's called Hell House LLC. It's one of my favorite found footage movies ever. Really, like I will tell anybody to watch this movie. It's really small, really basic. It's just, you just have to watch it. It takes place in a haunted house, with a film crew. And fun fact, it was also filmed like 10-15 minutes away from where we live. But it's a really, really good movie. Like, I was just recommending it to like some of my friends this week. Please watch this movie. It's really good.
Yeah, I had a lot of options actually kind of come up at the end. And I'm going to save a couple of them because I feel like people have seen them. But I'll mention them real quick and then I'll mention my other one. So I'll cheat. House, the Japanese version from the 70s. Just, if you haven't seen this movie, you need to see it. It's like a must-see for everybody who. And
then watch Film Coven this Friday.
Yes.
Yeah, and then watch Film Coven, of course. Always watch Film Coven, everyone. And then the other one that I'm not going to mention, but I'm cheating, 1408. I feel like a lot of people have seen this. It's not quite a haunted house. It's a haunted room, but it's just one of the best haunted, like, kind of creative movies I've ever seen, honestly. My pick is going to be What Lies Beneath, the Robert Zemeckis directed film. Harrison Ford, Michelle Pfeiffer. It's Ghost Rear Window. And it really, really works. And it also has a great shot of a character getting dragged into the depths of the water and like a beautiful kind of shot of it. And it's a movie I feel like a lot of people in like my generation kind of saw through the video store, not this channel, but the actual video store like Blockbuster or Hollywood Video. And it didn't quite make that transition to like Letterboxd, like cult favorite and stuff. So people don't revisit this movie. And I just think that, Ghost Rear Window hasn't been done and it really, really, it actually works. And so, yeah, that's going to be my pick is What Lies Beneath. Are you frozen, John? Or are you just shocked by how good of an answer I had? So I agree. My answer is stunning. I'm just going to say I'm very proud of it. And I work very hard, to come up with recommendations. So there's actually another movie that I thought of as we were talking. Don't watch the original Amityville Horror. That movie, while it's called a classic, is quite boring. And I don't really enjoy it. James Brolin's weird in it. I believe it's James Brolin. Maybe it's Josh Brolin. And follow Abby on Letterboxd. That's a 0 in her name, not an O.
I was going to say another recommendation it's kind of a haunted house movie, but I was also going to say Grave Encounters. I love my found footage movies, and I love this movie so much.
Thank goodness we didn't lose the stream.
And don't worry, we carried it. And Grave Encounters 2 is better than Grave Encounters.
No, just watch. Well, they're both good, but watch Grave Encounters 1. It's really the best.
Grave Encounters 2 is the best. We all know.
I actually haven't seen Grave Encounters 2 yet, and Grave Encounters 1 is
wild.
It's fun.
Watch.
It's really.
I know the concept of it, and I will get around to it once I get around.
It's insane. It's great.
So is it my turn?
Yes. Yeah, we've made 7 recommendations now.
Sweet. Sorry. Thank you for carrying the show.
No worries.
Somebody downstairs kicked the router out of the wall. So
I bet I know who that was. I bet I know who it was.
Kind of doing what you did. Like, obviously, there's movies I got to recommend. Like, if you haven't seen Poltergeist, what the fuck is wrong with you? Can you watch Poltergeist already? But my recommendation is Deadstream from last year. If you haven't seen Deadstream, you should definitely check out Deadstream. The Winter husband and wife, Joseph Winter and his wife, her name slips my memory, are making some great films. They made an addition to the last VHS one that just came out last year, and they did Deadstream. It is a horror comedy of the highest level. It's a very, very modern horror comedy because it's done as like a live web stream with commentary, but it is a good haunted house movie. It's got some good effects, and it hits pretty good. If you like being entertained, you don't mind a little bit of laughter with your horror, Deadstream is my recommendation.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's a really good choice.
Yeah.
It's actually truly funny. Like, I laughed out loud watching that movie. And it is also scary, too.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Well, then, until next time, you guys have anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Nope, just check us out next week on our finale because we're getting kicked off before the Saw episode because John hates us.
We are going to do, what is it? It Lives Inside, I think is the name of the movie, next week. So I believe it's playing by us. I don't know if it's playing by you. It's one of those movies that might not be in your area, but it's playing by us, so we're going to see it. And we're going to review it next week. If you're still hanging out, we are going to be doing Why We Love Horror Trivia live later. Steve Mesa is playing Jeremy Adams. Should be a hot match. They're going to go at it heavy. And I'm not trying to make it sound, like that, but they're going to go at it. These two guys know their stuff. It's going to be a high-scoring, hard-hitting match. And by the way, since we're live, I am in the Face of Horror competition. So if you go to this website, faceofhorror.org/2023/John-Mar, that is me. Vote. You don't have to spend money, but there is a way to get 2-for-1 votes. Do that. I need your votes. I'm in second place.
They don't charge your card. They don't charge your card in. They don't charge it.
Come on, Mom. I know, Mom. All right. Did you hear Aaron? So don't be paranoid. They're not going to come get you. They're not going to steal you and Dad and put you in a grave.
I'll text my mom too.
Yeah. Make sure they do that. Right. Until next time, I've been John Mar. That's Abby and Aaron, the first couple of horror, and we'll see you guys next week on Why We Love Horror.
She wouldn't even harm a fly. Hurry back. Be sure to bring your death